Hey guys, Cam here from today's iPhone.com, and it's a little bit late, but I wanted to give you the roundup of exactly what went down on the iPhone event that we've just been covering over on today's iPhone.com. Now, we did have a live blog going, but if you missed that, that's okay. I'm going to round up all the main features that you want to know about, as well as leaving links to all our reaction posts so you can check it out in more detail at your leisure. The thing that Apple went over was obviously iOS 7. We've been expecting it for some time. They first previewed it in June, so they kind of skimmed over it a little bit. But the most important thing that you need to know, or the two or three things that you need to know, firstly, iOS 7 will be available to download from Wednesday next week, September the 18th. It will be available for all devices. They're not going to stagger it, iPhone and iPad, like was rumoured. As far as we know, they're just going to be available for every device that it's compatible with. Now, if you've got an iPhone, it's got to be iPhone 4 or later, iPad 2 or later. iPad mini is fine, and also iPod Touch 5th generation are the devices that are compatible. So anything older than those, sadly, will not be able to use the new software. But onto the new devices, and this is where it kind of got really exciting or interesting for me. I thought what was going to happen based on rumours, and obviously rumours don't always come to pass. I thought that what Apple was going to do was replace the iPhone 4S with the 5C, keep the iPhone 5 on, and then have a 5S. But that didn't happen at all. Apple is keeping the iPhone 4S. They've got rid of the iPhone 5 and replaced it with two new iPhone 5s. One of them is the iPhone 5C, and one of them is the iPhone 5S. Now, if we do the iPhone 5C first, there's very little different about this in terms of specifications and hardware compared to the iPhone 5. It's got the same processor, it's got the same iSight camera. In fact, pretty much everything is exactly the same on the inside. What's different is that it's got a plastic colourful shell. And the idea here is to make a distinct difference between the colourful iPhone and the more serious businessy iPhone. It's got the same 4-inch screen. The only thing that's really improved on it is the front-facing camera, which is now a much better quality camera. It's FaceTime HD, and it's got larger pixels on it, so it will capture more light and make better quality images of yourself. It's available in 5 colours, like we've said before, more like what we thought before. We've got the blue, pink, yellow, green, and white. But there's no different colour fronts, it's just the black front with a different colour back. But Apple has released a load of cases to go alongside it, so you can mix and match colours and make it look kind of really cool and funky if people are into that sort of thing. Now, one thing that was really interesting actually was that they've made each iPhone, depending on its colour, has got its own default wallpaper that it comes loaded with that matches the back colour. Obviously you can change that, but instead of having a really kind of fancy raindroppy kind of thing, it's more of just like a grill mesh effect with a colour that matches the back of the iPhone. The iPhone 5S is where it gets really interesting. Like we've seen rumoured plenty of times, there's going to be 3 different colours, but there's not going to be a black and slate option, funnily enough. They've replaced that with a black space grey, they call it. They've got a space grey, which is kind of cool, I guess, if you like that sort of thing. But anyway, there's a gold and white, a white and silver, and a black and grey. Now, feature-wise, the camera doesn't have any extra megapixels, but instead, it's got a larger sensor size. So the pixels are bigger, which means that you'll be able to capture more light and make better quality images. It's got an aperture of f-stop 2.2, which means that the light it can take in is much better, and it will give you great, fantastic images. And from what they showed us on the preview and at the launch, it does look really, really good. What they've managed to do is they've got this flash on the back that's got 2 LEDs. Now, one of them is a white light and the other one is kind of an orangey red light, and they balance against each other in about 1,000 different combinations to make sure that the tone of the image and the white balance is perfect. So skin tones now look a lot more natural than what they're used to. Now, the camera, as well as being better and being able to do burst mode and all that kind of stuff, is that it actually has 120 frames per second video recording as well now, so you can make really cool slow motion videos. Got auto image stabilization as well, so it will automatically stabilize your images as you're taking videos and photos. You can also now zoom within your video. It's got a live video zoom, which is nice. It's a pretty cool little feature. The big talking point about the iPhone 5S is obviously the fingerprint sensor on the home button. Now, as you've seen in some of the leaks, it's got a kind of a circle ring. Now, this actually forms part of the button itself. This is actually a steel contact ring, so it's actually connected to the insides as far as we know. The home button is covered with a sapphire plastic that isn't concave as what we're normally used to seeing I think it's almost completely flat. To me, it almost looks a tiny bit convex, but let's just say it's flat for now. Now, underneath the glass, what you have is a sensor that's capable of reading your fingerprint regardless of what angle you place it on. It's got a 360-degree reading, so you don't have to put your finger on the sensor the same way every single time. So it's really, really accurate. It's got 500 pixel per inch resolution, which means it's really, really sensitive. And that feature is called Touch ID. Now, what you can use it for, obviously you can unlock your device. Instead of using a passcode, you use your finger. And also you can use it to download apps from the iTunes App Store or access your Apple ID account. You can just place your finger, not thumb, you place your finger on the sensor and it downloads whatever you want to and it logs you in. What also deserves a special mention is the brand new chip, or should I say 2 chips. The A7 is the brand new chip that Apple's developed. It's the first 64-bit chip that's been available in a smartphone ever. Now, what's interesting about this is that obviously a lot of the other manufacturers seem to be going for the more cores, as many cores as possible. Let's put an 8-core chip inside our phone. But Apple instead have stayed with the 2 cores, but they've made it a lot more efficient and a lot better. The CPU in the chip is twice as fast and the GPU in the chip is twice as fast, which means that when it comes to rendering images and animations, it's just going to look incredible despite the display being exactly the same as last year's version. It doesn't just affect the games, it also affects your camera. It means that your camera can take better photos, it can take them faster, and it's enabled Apple to increase features within the camera as well. So you've got like a burst mode where you can take 10 images per second in a burst kind of mode. It'll choose the best one and you can select that. It's a kind of a feature that other phones have had in the past, but as far as we can tell, with Apple's 64-bit chip, it should just blow them all away in terms of performance and offer a really, really fantastic experience to anyone who buys the phone. Now, with it being an incredibly powerful chip, you'd expect that it's going to hog some power off your battery, but it doesn't. It's actually more energy efficient than the previous A6, so your battery life has increased now from 8 hours talk time all the way up to 10 hours talk time, the same as what you get from an iPad. Now, the second chip I wanted to talk to you about was a brand new one they've called the M7. Now, it's called the coprocessor, and it's specifically designed to handle all the data that comes from all the sensors in the phone. So your gyroscope, your accelerometer, everything that measures angles and speed and distance and walking and location, all that kind of stuff is managed by this M7 chip. And what that means is it can get much better accuracy, and they've been able to partner with people like Nike to make a new Nike Plus Move app, and it can detect all your movements. It can tell whether you're walking or cycling or driving, and it's a better way to stay in shape, and it's a better way to track all your daily motions to kind of monitor what you're doing. Now, in terms of pricing and release dates, both new iPhones will be available to buy on September 20th, but they'll only be available to a selection of countries, 9 countries to begin with. I believe I could get this wrong. I believe it's the US, the UK, Germany, France, Japan, Singapore, Australia, China, and Canada. Now, in the States, the iPhone 5C will be available in 16 gig and 32 gigabyte options, and they'll cost $99 or $199 on a 2-year contract. In the UK, the SIM-free price is £469 or £549, depending on which storage option you go for. Now, the iPhone 5S is essentially replacing the 3 models of iPhone 5 that we had last year. So you'll have a $199 phone, $299 and $399, and it's all the same storage capacities. There is no 128 gigabyte option as what was rumored before. We've got 16, 32 and 64 gigabytes. Now, rather confusingly, only the iPhone 5C is available for pre-order from Friday, September 13th. If you want the iPhone 5S, you're going to have to wait until the September 20th date, and you can either go and line up outside a store that sells them or order one online and hope that you get it fairly soon. One more snippet of information that's worth you knowing is that Apple has made Pages, Numbers, Keynote, iMovie and iPhoto all free as of when iOS 7 launches next week. So they'll no longer charge you for those apps that are available for nothing, which is a fantastic move. And if you buy a new iPhone, when you open it up, it'll take you to a page where you can download those for free. Now, from reading the live blogs from other sites, What it seemed like was that you needed to buy a new iPhone to get those for free, but I'm not sure. We'll keep an eye out on the App Store and make sure that everybody's going to get the same deal, because that would kind of be dumb. But if you're not asking me any questions in the meantime, I'm at TIP_Cam, and I will see you again soon.